Today's messing around is accompanied by Grandpa's Sweater Oatmeal Stout from Barnhammer Brewing right here in Winnipeg. This is an old favorite, nice and malty and a little bit oaty and just a little bit hoppy, just the way I like it. This should hopefully be a quick video. I am looking at this Halloween device that I picked up at Dollarama. It is a screaming doormat sensor which makes spooky sounds when somebody steps on your doormat. Now, I have no illusions about what's inside the noisemaker. It's probably going to be a blob chip or something like that. What I'm most curious about is this sensor that goes under your doormat and how that works. So let's get inside this thing and see what it's all about. So we have what looks like a very large sensor mat to go under your doormat. Okay. And then that just runs out to the noisemaker box. First, let's put a battery in it and see what it does. I'm sure it's going to make some really obnoxious noises here. Takes 2 AA cells, but we knew that from looking at the box. I'll just get a couple of those. Welcome to the haunted house, he says. Okay, so we got an on-off switch on the side here. Okay. Screaming stuff, alright. That's obnoxious. Okay, so 3 different sounds, and it doesn't look like it takes all that much to trigger this thing. Interesting. So I wonder if it relies on your doormat not being that heavy, because I don't know, if it's doesn't take much of a touch, then maybe it'll just be constantly triggering and burning your batteries and annoying the neighbors. Who knows? Let's see what's inside this thing. So we have a little speaker, we have the battery box, and looks like they've got a little bit of hot snot on here holding the wires. I guess that's a good thing. And the sensor is plugged in, so that could be repurposable. That's convenient. Let's get some alcohol on that hot glue, because rumors have it that our friend isopropyl will just loosen up hot glue very, very easily. Oh yeah, look at that. This comes right apart. Okay. Speaker falls out anyway. And there is the board. Oh, it's not a blob chip. It is a little 8-pin something or other. Okay. And we got 2 transistors over here and 2 resistors and a capacitor. The 8-pin chip, of course, has no markings on it, but the transistors do have a marking there, 2TY. And 2TY translates to an S8550, which is a surface mount PNP transistor. Nothing too odd about this one. It gains somewhere between 120 and 250. Other than that, just a fairly basic silicone PNP transistor. While you weren't looking, I took the time to make a very quick schematic because it is a very simple circuit. We have positive voltage, power switch. Positive voltage goes out to the sensor pad, then comes back into the base of the first of these 2 PNP transistors. Collector of that one goes out to the base of the second one. We have this resistor on the base of Q1 and the sensor pad. 2.2 meg, which is pulling down, which is just a really soft pull down. And then we have a 47K pulling down that base to make sure it stays down when it's not being triggered. A little decoupling capacitor there. The collector of this guy comes down to pin 1 of the mystery chip. Pins 6 and 8 of the mystery chip are the speaker. Pins 2 and 3 just go to unpopulated pads. I guess not so much unpopulated pads as just test pads. FV, whatever that means. 3 hertz, possibly. Input and output, don't know. And L plus, that is just the positive battery voltage coming from the switch down here. And then we have the negative voltage input on pin 5 and the positive voltage input on pin 7 with a little decoupling capacitor there. And that is all the components on the board. Very simple. So it looks like this is just a high impedance input from the sensor pad, and I'm wondering if the sensor pad is acting as a capacitor or if it is just creating a lower resistance than that when you crash into it or something. I think the only way to tell is surgery. Don't feel too bad for me destroying my device. It came from Dollarama. It's dirt cheap and I wasn't planning on using it for anything except for this video. So that's what we got in here. Oh, it's just a piezo inside of a sealed bag. So if you step anywhere on there, it's going to make a slight pressure difference and trigger that piezo. Oh, that's neat. So a piezo disc like this one, it's an interesting kind of a device. Technically, piezoelectric is the term that you're looking for. Piezoelectric devices, when you apply electricity to them, they will vibrate, or they will mechanically deform. If you give them an AC waveform, they will vibrate to that waveform, aka a little speaker. However, if you connect them to an input and you mechanically deform them in some way, which is often just giving them a light tap, or in this case, maybe pressurizing them a bit with air, will cause them to generate a really weak voltage. Piezoelectric devices can often be used as a crude microphone. So, what's coming out of here is going to be a really weak voltage, which going into the base of our little stacked transistors here will be acting as an amplifier. Initially, when I looked at this, I thought it might be a Darlington pair, but this isn't the correct configuration for Darlington amplifiers. If they were Darlington, the emitter would have to be connected to the base of the next one, and the two collectors would have to be connected together. So these are just two high gain amplifiers cascaded with each other, basically. So they generate, or they amplify the little pulse of voltage that you get from the piezo. That one boosts it, that one amplifies it again, and the output of that goes into the input of this chip. Since we've got 3 volts on there, they just have to amplify it up high enough to hit the GPIO threshold on whatever this little chip is. And this little chip is a mystery. It's probably some kind of microcontroller, I would expect, with a fair bit of onboard memory for the crude audio. The pinout, specifically the power pins, is not correct for an ATtiny or a STM 8-pin microcontroller, or what else did I look at? A PIC. It's not one of those, and it's not even that little cheap Paduke microcontroller that everybody was gaga over a couple of years ago. So not quite sure what this is. Probably just a purpose-designed chip for playing back audio from a single GPIO type input. Anyway, the thing I was most curious about, I was expecting this thing to be something that I couldn't dig any deeper into. I am surprised that it's not just a single blob, but anyway, what I'm most surprised about is how this sensor thing works with the tiny little piezo. And I'm wondering if maybe, instead of pressure like I thought, because this isn't actually air sealed, that's fairly loose there, it's not crimped or anything. I mean, maybe it is still air pressure, but maybe it's just sensing vibration from anywhere on this bag. I don't know. Regardless, a little piezo is a good salvage, I guess, if nothing else. And I could trigger this guy with any voltage that pulls high. So I suppose I could use this thing if I wanted to. At minimum, I got a 2 AA battery box and a speaker out of this. So for the $2.50 or $3 that I spent at Dollarama, I think this is well worth it, even just for satisfying my curiosity. Well, thanks for watching. Quick little video today, but that's fine too. Questions and comments down below. I will talk to you later.